Hey everyone, Selena here, founder, host, lead educator with the American Crochet Association. I'm also the writer behind Selena Baca Crochet, so I'm sharing this in all of those communities. If you're watching live, come on over, say hey, say hello, tell me where you're viewing from. As long as I'm here live, you'll get a shout out and we can make it a fun conversation. I wanted to chat about a pattern that's an oldie but a goodie. I've overhauled the way I've presented it. I've got a lot of good information here, and I just wanted to walk you guys through it. So today, maybe you're seeing for the first time the Silver and Spice crochet hood, or maybe you've made quite a few of them over the years. And I say that because I think the first time I published this pattern was back in 2012. I mean, it's been just a little bit, 2012, 2013. I wrote this pattern for the very first book I ever published. You can find more details whenever you click on the link in the video description to read more about the Silver and Spice hood. So I wrote this to go in Crochet for Christmas. Again, that was the first book I ever published. I think it finally came out in 2015. It was a labor of love. It was so much fun to put together. And I did this in collaboration with a lot of my favorite crochet authors. So there's lots of patterns for lots of different things for the holiday season. The reason I made this particular hood was that I wanted something that was classic, something that could be for all ages and something that you could really have a lot of fun making, especially if you wanted to play around with different kinds, types, styles, colors of yarn. So when I first wrote this hood pattern, I did so with a yarn that has been discontinued. Like, of course, that's the story of my life. Every time I fall in love with a yarn, I feel like it goes away. But when I was reformatting this not the pattern has not been touched. Really, I'm just adding more information, especially where this is posted at the American Crochet Association. So I'll say that. So the pattern is, has not been updated. But some of the resources and the language behind, some of the information that I've given, there's some stuff there. And one of the things was about the yarn. Again, the yarn that I wrote this for was Lion Brand yarn. I think it was called Chunky. What was it even called? Hold on. Let's do this together. Selecting the yarn. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Like magic. Okay, so the yarn that I first used was Lion Brand Wool Ease Chunky. And again, that one has been discontinued. I don't even think you can find it anywhere. Sometimes when a yarn is discontinued, it's around for a little bit because you can still find stock or things like that. And I just could not find it anywhere, which means that, yeah, when I wrote this pattern about 10 years ago, the yarn was about, I don't know at what point it finally went away, but it is gone. So some of the work that I put into updating this was in what yarn I think could be a great substitute. And I think the number one substitute for this is one of my new favorite yarns, Don't Go Anywhere, Lion Brand yarn Hue and Me. So that one is on shelves. I mean, it's almost an exact match and the colors are fantastic. So I feel really confident that even though that initial yarn was not available, and you're not going to find these exact Silver and Spice colors, there are so many great colors in that line, and I've got it linked, and that way you guys can at least take a peek and make some of these crochet hoods that you love. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys more about it. We're going to walk through some of it, but it looks like quite a few of you are here. So I want to say hey to my crochet friend Angelica. So good to see you. Linda is here from Michigan. Melissa's checking in from Ohio. Rose from New York. Good to see you, Rose. Angelica says, I made this one for my grandson. Maybe we'll see your finished project because we're going to look through some of those in just a minute. So if you posted your project, maybe it'll be in there. And hello, Paula, also from New York. Good to see you. Thanks for checking in, everybody. Okay, so this style is, it's a crochet accessory. It's kind of in the hat category, but it's not really a hat. So whenever I made this, I initially was thinking, okay, this is going to be a great style for kids to wear. It's really cute. It's a little oversized. It's something that's comfortable. And that way it's like, that's kind of the demographic that I'm serving. However, after I made this hood and I kind of was playing around with it a little bit, I realized that I really like wearing hoods. And I quickly realized that even through the years, people making these, I've seen this hat on dolls. I've seen it on children. I've seen it on teens. I've seen it. I have seen it on adults of all ages. So I think that this is definitely one of those designs that is so versatile in terms of how you can size it and how you can wear it. I talk a little bit more about that just here in this article about this pattern, and that way it's not just giving you the instructions, it's giving you a lot of great information about any kind of question you may have about, completing something like this. So another thing that was really important to me to add, and that way anyone who's thinking about making this hood will know, is about the sizing. So I talk a little bit more about how this is constructed, because if you've never made a hood, particularly like this before, you might go, how does this make that? So what I love about this is that this is created with a piece of fabric that is worked in rows. So that piece of fabric ends up to be a rectangle. And then you're going to take that rectangle, there's a schematic on here, you're going to seam up one side, and then you're going to add a border with some ties, and that's it. So it's essentially worked in two parts. Again, there is a schematic here, and that should really help you to see, this equals that, and that's how I do this, and there we go. So it's important to note for this as well that, again, this is a rectangle. So you may be wondering, like, how do I determine sizing? So I tell you guys a little bit about how this is going to, this hood, it first starts in a long chain in rows, and every single row is going to add the height, the width, the depth of the hat, the hood. I'm using all the wrong terminology here, excuse me. Okay, so first when you make the rectangle, in the stitches, so the stitches, that portion, the width of it, that's going to be the circumference of this part of your head. Do you see how the hood is going around? It's kind of like framing the face right here. And that's where, unlike a traditional hat, like a cap or something fitted or slouchy, those hats, they really have to fit like to the inch. You really have to get that nailed down, right? But what I love about a hood is that this can be really oversized. Like you could make this inches larger than your face, inches larger than your head. So, I mean, the hood can fit, as we see right here on this lovely little model right here. The hood can rest on your shoulders or even be larger. I mean, it can be longer than that if you want to. It can kind of sit here and bow out a little bit and then rest on your head. So there really can be a very wide style range for this. So whenever you're chaining for the initial part of this portion, however many you chain, that's going to be the portion that fits around your face. So it can literally just fit around your face and be very fitted. That's absolutely a style. That's a look if you want to do that, like, for small children or, for little kids, or even if they're whatever their age is, if you want it to fit around their face, you can absolutely make that size. If you want it to be like a hood, like a hoodie, like a big, I want it to sit on my shoulders, you can do that. You can do that oversized look as well. This is absolutely something that's very easy to measure as you go. So if you want to start that initial chain with the yarn that you choose to see, what direction it's going to go in, how it's going to measure up, so easy to do. So again, once you get the width, like how big around is it going to be around my face, to get the depth, like from my face all the way to where the hood is going to seam in the back, that's really easy to do because you're just forming rows. So every row that you add for the pattern, that's adding that length right here. And you can easily just take away rows to make it shorter, add rows to make it longer, and you can absolutely measure as you go to get that perfect fit as well. So this is something that, yes, I did write it for a bulky weight yarn. And I do suggest using a bulky weight yarn, right? I wrote this in a few different sizes, so you can just follow the specific pattern for those sizes to make it exactly. But this is absolutely something that you can play around with size and fit. If you want to change the yarn weight for this. Again, it's very easy to measure as you go in terms of rows and also in terms of stitches. So it's definitely something that you can get a little creative with as you're working. So some other things that I've added in addition to, hey, the yarn I wrote this for is gone, and here's some yarns that you can use, and here's more information about size and fit. I talk a little bit about the book that I wrote this for with resources for you to go and find that and see all the other projects from all the other contributors. Some people have questions like, hey, wait a minute, bulky yarn for a hat, isn't that like way too big? I talk a little bit about that. And then I also give some details and some perspective about who hoods are for. How to select the perfect yarn. So the yarn that I used, it's discontinued, and yarns that I suggest you use. We talked about sizing a little bit, but there's just those details, and these are all clicked hyperlinks. So whatever you click on in the table of contents, it's going to take you directly there. So no more scrolling around and reading everything if you don't want to. You can get to the thing that you need exactly. Helpful resources, Silver and Spice Hood inspiration. Hundreds of these have been created through the years, and we're going to look at those in just a second. But if you want those details here, all you got to do is click on over. How to keep your crochet edges straight. Now, before we move on, let me know in the comments, especially everybody here live or replay, have you ever crocheted something and your edges were like this? Or you're like, why are they doing that? What's up with my edges? So with a hood like this, specifically because it's created in a rectangle and you're using a specialty stitch to work it, if you don't follow this one tip and this one trick about what counts as a stitch and what doesn't and what to do in either case, then you may find that your edges are not going to create a rectangle shape. It's going to be different. So I do have tips in here to help you avoid that. And really, it's for any crochet skill level. So it doesn't matter if you've been crocheting for 50 years or 5 days. This is a tip you need to know. Oh, I see quite a few more people are here. So I do want to give a shout out to Brenda Allison, who is joining us, and Stephanie is here, and Dawn Tennyson is here. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for checking in live. Okay, so yeah, so I've got some tips for you, how to keep your crochet edges straight. This hood does use a bobble stitch. A lot of people are totally confused about the difference between a bobble and a popcorn and a cluster and a puff. So I have a little bit of tips, and I do have video tutorials that will help walk you through it. That way, even if you've never crocheted a bobble stitch before, you'll totally be a pro after you do it, especially with this particular pattern. This pattern does have a right side and a wrong side of fabric. Now, I love sharing this tip because so many people don't know the difference between right side and wrong side in crochet. Sometimes it's totally subjective, but there are some rules behind this. Like, for example, whenever you're crocheting the fabric that you are creating, whatever stitch you are making, that's the right side of the stitch as you're creating it. Doesn't matter if you're right-handed or left-handed. As you're creating a stitch, that is the right side of the stitch. Does that mean it's going to be the right side of the fabric? It depends on the fabric. So for this fabric, there is a very clear right side because I am using that bobble stitch. It does create this very big raised texture, and that's the side you see out here, just all out there, you know, in this in the example that I have. And that way, if you're new to crochet, or maybe you're just unaware because you haven't really crocheted a lot of fabric that does have a clear right side and wrong side, there's some great tips in there for you. And that way you can get it right for this hat, and you can see all that texture, and really for any crochet project that you make. More crochet accessory patterns. I show those to you, where to find this pattern on Ravelry, all of the resources that you may need to make this, the yarn, the materials, the size, the finished measurement, the gauge, stitch key, specialty stitching techniques, pattern notes. And then here are all the different sections for the pattern, like the hood, seam, border, and finishing. So lots of great details and information there. And of course, if you want to just jump straight to the pattern, all you got to do is click on that link in the table of contents, and it takes you right here. So hopefully the way I'm reformatting all of these patterns that I share with you on the American Crochet Association website just give you information as you want it and as you need it, in addition to those pattern instructions. And that way you can successfully complete these patterns. You can learn some things, build some skills, and just kind of have fun. Hopefully this is a fun, interesting learning environment, in addition to a place where you get patterns sometimes. So let me know what you think. If you guys dig this pattern, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys think. You can even leave a comment over here on this article. I love seeing comments on articles, especially when there's something like, I totally dig this. If you guys do follow through and work up these instructions and you create a Silver and Spice hood, definitely post your project to Ravelry. There have been 145 projects listed so far. So if you guys want some inspiration, look, here's even a dog wearing one. How cute is that? Babies, kids, people turn them into different things. They add to them, they take away, they put pom-poms. So many cute, amazing things. There are adults, there are kids, you know, so many different demographics, solid colors, color blocking. I mean, just so many different examples. So if you guys want to come and see over 100 different silver and spice hoods made, this is where you're going to get your inspiration. And if you want to see also what yarns people have used through the years to make this, how many different yarns have been posted? Tons, dozens. These are all the different yarns people have used. So you can click on these yarns exactly to get more information, details about them. Are they discontinued? Are they not? And you can also see the project in this particular yarn worked up. So if there's a yarn that you like or a project that you like, you can click on either and get all the details. So some, for example, was Loops and Threads Charisma, King Cole Big Value, Lion Brand Hometown, Lion Brand Homespun, Lion Brand Woolies Chunky, which is gone, Stylecraft Special Chunky, Karen 1 pound, Red Heart Soft, Lion Brand Scarfy, Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. So many different yarns. And some of these are still up and around and everything. And again, not all of these are in the same weight class. So again, this is definitely one of those patterns you can kind of play around with yarn weight, measure as you go, and you can totally make up a completely different size. So really different and interesting. And as I was looking around for yarn alternatives and I saw that Hue and Me was like top of the list for like an exact match for that Woolies Chunky, I see that no one has listed a project for this hood made with that yarn. So I would absolutely love to see that. And I think you would really love it because it's one of my favorite new yarns. So hope you dig it. All right, guys. Again, if you guys like this hat, let me know in the comments. Let me know. Come on over here, leave a comment on this article. That would just make my day so much. And if you think this is a really cool hood and you want to share this with other people who like free crochet patterns and also want to get a little bit of information along with making this hood, all of these details that I chatted with you guys, please do me a favor, tag your crochet friends in the comments so they can come check it out, or share this video and maybe just one place that you enjoy crochet if you think they'll totally dig it too. And I will just love you for it. All right, everybody, here it is, the Silver and Spice hood. Tons of new information that will help you not only complete this hood, but hopefully will give you a little bit of guidance and knowledge and skill and ability that you can take to other crochet patterns to just help make your crochet life better. All right, final shout out to everybody who came over and said hello, like Crochet with Pink, Crochet Me Pink. Stephanie says, I dig it. Dawn loves bobbles. Hello, Dawn. So good to see you. And thanks again to Stephanie for coming in, Angelica and Brenda Allison, Paula, Angelica, Rose, Melissa, Linda, all of you guys, thanks so much for coming over and saying hey. Enjoy the pattern. See you guys later. Peace, love, crochet. Bye-bye.